I made modern snacks in ancient times, and these novel delicacies conquered all the ministers. First, I cut zucchini and eggplant into thin strips, then hollowed out the tomatoes and set them aside. But the kitchen had already run out of meat, so I had to mix barley flour and soybean flour to make vegetarian meat patties. When the uniquely shaped burgers were served, everyone gasped in amazement. How had I made patties without any meat in the kitchen? The ministers were extremely curious and picked up their utensils to take big bites, only to discover they were made of vegetables and grains. Yet the texture and flavor were even more delicious than real meat. The ministers couldn't get enough and eagerly looked forward to my next dish. This time, I cut potatoes into spiral shapes and strung them together using the imperial physician's silver needles. The imperial physician rushed over to stop me, saying the silver needles were his family heirlooms, but I ignored him completely, focused only on making the snack quickly, and dropped the potato skewers straight into the hot oil. Once the potatoes were golden and crispy, the modern famous spring potatoes were ready. The royal chef watched in awe. He had never seen such a cooking method, but over 100 guests were waiting outside, so I immediately ordered the palace maids and royal chefs to help. 2 large pots in the kitchen cooked at the same time. Some peeled potatoes carefully, some sharpened bamboo skewers, and others watched the stoves to control the heat. Just like that, I set up an efficient food production line. When the dishes were served, the ministers lifted the lids with great anticipation, only to look utterly confused. This was a grand state banquet, yet all I had prepared for them was a single potato on a stick. Everyone began to complain. Just then, the Empress Dowager picked up a potato and took a bite. A crisp crunch filled the air, and her eyes widened instantly. The ministers followed suit and immediately praised the unique texture, but one general scoffed, saying they had never even tasted a potato before. Yet, after taking one bite himself, he was completely won over by the incredible flavor. Watching this from the kitchen, I had to hold back a smile. The next dish was dessert. I used molds to shape colorful, sweet red bean jelly into ice cream forms and decorated them with small flowers carved from carrots and potatoes. Since time was limited, I made only one dessert for each minister. Seeing this, the ministers looked somewhat disdainful and whispered among themselves that the desserts were too simple. Then the king explained that the wooden sticks on the desserts were not just for easy holding, they were also used to test everyone's luck. The Empress Dowager muttered about the king's superstitious little trick, but the next second she saw a lucky symbol carved on her stick, which delighted her. I believe true delicacies don't require expensive ingredients. They come from turning ordinary things into joyful flavors. What do you think?